Well, here we are. We haven't done one of these in a while, obviously. Previously, we have taken a look at mods such as the Warhammer one, the Gigastructure one, but today I wanted to take a look at one of the most extensive mods within the game. And this one is actually quite spectacular. Now, before you click away and you think by yourself, Star Trek's boring, give me Star Wars or something else that is a little bit more grounded. Not that I'm saying that Star Wars is grounded, but you get the general idea. Star Trek New Horizons takes so many ideas of the base Stellaris game and just runs with it. On top of that, it adds so many new items of functionality that it's pretty crazy, and I would not be surprised that the developers of the main game, of the main Stellaris game, are looking at this mod relatively frequently to see what they've added in terms of functionality, which they could be quote unquote inspired by to use in the main game. And just to give you an example, there is a system in here called eras. So you have, for every era that you transition from, has their own ship types. So you've got your battle cruisers, they'll change model and weapon systems, etc., based on the era that you are in. That's pretty amazing. You can have a species that only plays on stations orbiting gas giants. You can have a space species that is hilariously overpowered, such as the Borg, right off the bat, no problem. You can play as a species that lives on a city ship. That's all possible, and much, much more. And my personal favorite, hero ships as well, which are specifically event-driven ships that just pops up, and they're more powerful than others. Are run by captains and stuff like that. Basically, your classic TV show stuff. As you can notice, I'm not running any music in the background here for good reason, because all the music is pretty much well, copyrighted, and I don't want to get in trouble with our good friends over at YouTube. But overall, this is so far really, really good as something sneaks its way onto screen here. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but we'll take a look. Anyway, the main menu, as you can see already, is pretty fascinating. It's got references to Houdini, Blender, all the wiki pages, the various websites that these guys are active on. And yes, guys, plural, this is an entire team working on this since day one of the release of Stellaris, and their work so far has been incredibly impressive. It's Birth of the Federation as well, which has been out for a while. We got, for instance, the links to the internet browser that is within the game. Yes, Stellaris has an internet browser cooked in, and you can use this to navigate through all the various pages, which is rather cool. Of course, I'll put the link for this mod below. Then there's the UI mods. Those are all separate from the main game, and basically what it does is it specializes the UI of the game to the species that you are playing. For instance, you've got the Borg one right here, which is really cool. You've got the Elkar's Federation one, which is more of a next generation thing, if anything else, where you can play around with these sort of interfaces. And it's very, very expansive and very, very much a labor of love. And I would not be surprised if a lot of these guys that are working on this particular project are going to move on towards studios that are actively working with UI related stuff. This is the Klingon ones, for instance. Very cool. Anyway, let's dive in. Let's see what Star Trek New Horizons has to offer from the team of Paradoxical. Let's dive in. Let's do a new game and see right off the bat what is available. Well, apparently the Great British Empire in space is there. That is an issue because obviously that is not a thing in the game. Let's just scroll down here past all the standard stuff. United Earth. So United Earth, your proto-federation, you can only start off at the start of the game, at the start of the timeline, and gradually over time you will develop. Very well set up. You've got all these quadrants. So basically the galaxy is split up in 4 different areas, and this species spawns in the Alpha Quadrant, so down here. It's right next to the Beta Quadrant, right down the middle, actually. You got the Klingons, you got the Romulans, and did I mention that almost every single species has their own separate type of ships? Pretty amazing. And it's all subdivided in major empires and minor empires and whatnot. One thing that's important to note that this is very much a narratively driven mod. unlike Stellaris itself, which is a very open-ended experience. So if you're looking for something that is very, very event-driven and narrative-driven, then this is probably the thing for you. Look at all these species that you could play as. Like, this is a scroll bar and a half right here. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, you want to play as a Kazon? You can totally do that. You want to play as a Krenim, a species that only popped up in 2 episodes of Star Trek Voyager called Year of Hell? Yeah, you can totally play as them. Also, this guy will kick your ass. Because that's what he does. You want to play as the Vidians? You can do that. You can play as the Vodwar if you're playing a lot of Star Trek Online. That will probably bring up a couple of things. And also, every single one of these little iconographies, these little icons, means that this species has a unique ship set. Let's count them, shall we? How many unique ship sets does this mod have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. 7 for the Ferengi, 8 for the Shellyak for some reason. They only came in 1 episode. At 9, Tellarite, Tholians have their own one. That's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 different types of species, which is insanity. Like, you got the Voth Theocracy, they got their own city ship. They spawn off as, technically it's a station, because the game doesn't really work like that when it comes to moving pops around in fleets. But yeah, they all have their own little setups, like their own little ethics and their own little edicts and stuff like that. It's pretty incredible what's been done here. As a narrative-driven scenario, this is pretty amazing. You want to play as on a very hard difficulty with the Hirogen? You can totally do that. You want to play as whatever the hell these guys are? I don't know who the hell they are. You want to play as the Hurk Stagnancy? Yeah, you can do that. That's cool. Vulcan High Command, they got their own ship designs. The Sulabon, same story there. It's pretty incredible. Let's be honest here. But for the sake of our entertainment, let's play as a species that we all know and love. Let's dive into the United Earth and see what is possible. So, map options: Milky Way galaxy, 1400 stars, 89 plus empires, and there's the 900 star system setup that I would highly recommend because of performance reasons. And now you can even play a version of the game that's only the Alpha and the Beta quadrant, and different various versions of that. Gamma quadrant, you can play with the Delta quadrant as well. There's so many options here. It is pretty damn staggering. We're going to play as a medium here. Tech traditional, this stuff is all here. Let's dive in, shall we? And of course, we got all these pretty good, screen caps. And of course, the UI is loading here. I'm loading in as the Federation right now. So obviously, we're going to get a little bit of weird UI and all that. But it's just pretty incredible what they have done. This is also a very large mod, I would like to add, and may take a significant chunk of your hard drive. But still, it's definitely something to look for. So tech-wise, this game has a completely this mod has a completely realized and unique tech tree for almost every single faction. Every single faction has their own unique tech tree. It's insane. It's completely insanity. And they also work completely differently from the main game as well. Colony ship. What do you mean? We can build a colony ship all of a sudden. Polarized hull plating. Oh, that sounds cool. We start out on 2 worlds. It's 2150, unlike the start of the normal game of Stellaris where you start in 2200. And yeah, we only know about the Vulcans, and this is the galaxy. It's insanity. Let's take a look at what these guys actually have. So they are our friends, or at least they should be our friends. We can actually have a migration treaty with them if we really want to. And all this standard functionality of the game are in here. It's really, really staggering. Let's get a signed ship out there. Oh, by the way, did you notice, by the way, that I can go anywhere? Anywhere I want? We got warp drive. Also, it's Q-tips. That's right. We got Q from the Q Continuum who is going to give us tips. It's basically a replacement for Veer, but considering how expansive the mod is, you will definitely need this in order to keep it going. I don't just I don't need your mineral. But yeah, let's take a look here at our fleet manager, shall we? This is all fairly straightforward. I want to go to the ship designer actually. So this is our Franklin class. For those of you who have seen the third movie of the JJ verse from Star Trek, this should probably be fairly straightforward in terms of tech. But let's do something interesting here. Let's advance technology, shall we? So research all technologies. So now we have all tech. Now here is something that I find cool. I did mention that there's this era system within the mod. Basically, every single step of the way, basically there are bottleneck techs. And these bottleneck techs will basically push you into a certain direction that you can specialize in. So for instance, we got our colonization technology breakthrough. So what do we want to specialize in? Do we want to specialize in money? Then we can do that. We have this Xeno technology thingy, interstellar trade, Tetrion beam technology. We can take these modulated or breaching Tetrion beams, and basically there's these modifiers that will start stacking up under your that will start stacking up here, and basically it will give you individual bonuses. So let's say breach Tetrion. Now obviously I horribly cheated here, which basically means that I get all the technologies in the game, even the ones that I should not be having, because certain species get tech that other species do not. So for instance, the good friends over in Dominion, they get Tetrion technology, which is their weapon type. The Federation gets phaser-based. We've got cutting phasers, or cutting lasers, or whatever you want to call them, for the Borg. We've got plasma weapons for the Klingons, and so forth, and so forth. It is pretty amazing how deep this goes. Tetrion cannon. Here you go. So we can just skip all this stuff. And we can, of course, spend some civic points and reform our government, and even add a couple of techs that are government items that are only available to some other species. Like, for instance, the Warriors of Kalis. If we were Klingon, we could have totally picked that. Or the Words of the Prophets. If we were Bajoran, and yes, they are in the game, we could totally be them. So let's take a look here at what you probably came here for, which is some of the weapons stuff. As my game is kind of freaking the fuck out. Okay, so here's an Intrepid class light cruiser. Notice how all of these are basically very, very much based around the earlier generations of Star Trek. Not, of course, this one, because it's a Centaur class. Here's a Curry class, which is a notorious kit bash. Niagara, which is... what the fuck is that even? Oh, that's interesting. Hey, you want to have a steam runner? Yeah, you can fly around with that. You want a saber? Sure. And all of these ships have their own specialization. Like, for instance, hey, you want to have an X? Sure, you can do that. Or do you want to have the Columbia class refit, which all of a sudden adds the engineering section on the bottom? Fully realized, and every single one of these basically allows you to do whatever the hell you want. Light cruiser design? Sure, okay, that's fine. Let's have a space superiority design. So all of a sudden, more nacelles are being added. Torpedo barrage, etc., etc. Okay, but I guess the nacelles were already there, but you get the general idea. Light cruisers. You want more designs? You can do that. Let's see, on this Kelvin class, doesn't really have anything special. I don't even know what the hell this is supposed to be. There are quite a lot of ships in this mod that will blow your mind. You want to fly around with a galaxy? Yeah, you can totally do that. I'm quickly going to unpause here. First Federation. Yeah, you can talk to them. So there's the First Federation, for instance. Enigmatic observers, so they're a fallen empire. So you can talk to them. That's nice. So let's advance. So let's mature the galaxy for a second, shall we? So let's see whether or not we can jump forward a few eras, because that's totally possible. And of course, we will instantly be completely jammed because it's going to take a little while for this to happen. And my game may crash because the game has quite a lot of stuff to populate right now, considering the amount of factions that are available. Oh, dear Lord, I am really worried that we're going to be crashed right now. Let's hope that is not the case. Yeah, man. Oh, God. Oh, I see a spinny icon. That's always... That's all. Oh, no. Okay. Okay, it was... Hold on a second. Alright, so, yeah, I unfucked it, so let's continue on here. Yeah, so, obviously, I hilariously cheated, getting all the tech and stuff like that. But as you progress through the game, you get pop-ups like this, such as the new Enterprise. So, this generates new events. So, we can go to the new Enterprise. Takes 365 days. We'll be able to build a new ship. Now, I have, like I mentioned, we got all these new ship designs down here. Ooh, hello there. Yeah, that's Vesta class. Ooh, that's Prometheus. Yeah, that'll do. Ooh, Sovereign, and of course, Galaxy X. Funnily enough, the refits are all here as well. And I think the Venture class refit is from All Good Things, the very last episode. You got the various Sovereign variants. The Vesta, which is from Star Trek Online, if I'm not completely mistaken, but also all the smaller stuff. So, for instance, here, you want an Akira class? Yeah, you can do that. The Thunderchild artillery version that has different weapon types, like transphasic torpedoes. Yeah, you can have all of those. That's not a problem. I think we have the Intrepid here as well. And of course, everything that comes before that. So you can build Constitution classes. You can build Excelsior class and all that. And if you're a big Star Trek nerd like myself, then this is all very good news because it means that you can get to play with all these new toys. And the sheer amount of... Wow, the fact that we have warp drive here is crazy. What I actually think they did is they... I'm not entirely sure. I think hyperdrive is still active, but they just have everything connected to everything. So it's all point to point. So, and then it just removed the hyperlanes from the overview. At least that's how I would have done it in this particular case. I can upgrade a bunch. There's new strategic resources here as well. You need to mine dilithium to power your fleet and get new bonuses. So you get a little raw dilithium here. There is the Bold New Era modifier. So we get a new design set up for us, which is what we just saw. So let's do a quick instant build here.
Construction complete.
And let's us build a planetary dock, so everything is set up in here. So let's quickly upgrade space dock. And do the same thing for energy, of course. And then we should be able to just upgrade all this stuff to the max. And then we got all of this stuff, shipyards, naval depots, trade depots. So let's just build a bunch of shipyards and stuff like that. And I think we have Naval Academy and all of this stuff. Naval Logistical Center, all these special buildings like museums. I think Orbital Museum, I think it allows you to build a special, to build all the old versions of ships. I'm not entirely sure if that is currently still the case. Like I mentioned, I haven't played the actual mod in a while. Resource silo, of course, is there. Let's very quickly go to our shipyard. Let's build some ships, shall we? As you notice, they're also very expensive. The cost of ships in this game is incredibly high for very good reasons. Let's see if I can just zoom in here. There we go. So the cost of the ships is very high because the individual power of every single ship is very high by itself. So let's, for the sake of showing off the actual models and how ridiculously high resolution they are. These are, for instance, the Galaxy. This is the Galaxy refit, and just look at the sheer amount of detail that has gone in these. And sure, they're from TV shows and whatnot, but they're all modeled incredibly close to their original design, etc. My camera has just decided to flip out. There is the Intrepid that I wanted to have. But yeah, these are all here and on Showcase and whatnot. So you can have your Star Trek, yeah, basically your Star Trek dream and just play it out. And that's totally possible. And it's pretty exciting that is the case. Still waiting for this new A Enterprise scenario to come online. Give me 1 second. We should get a free hero ship.
Special project.
And there is the Enterprise. So we should be able to... And there it is. A Constitution-class Enterprise. And as you can see, you get it very early in the game. And it's a cruiser at 1.9K, which is incredibly high. What sort of events can you have? Well, you can have the... Basically, every single TV episode from the series has been turned into an event of some sort. All the way from the very earliest shows on the timeline to the last ones. So it goes all the way from, and now I gotta, from Star Trek Enterprise all the way to the end of, I think, even Star Trek Online, which is not necessarily a canon continuation of the show. But still, having all this stuff here is incredibly cool. Oh, there's a Prometheus class we were talking about. Acura class and all that stuff. So how does all this stuff work when it comes to combat? Well, let's go and take a look at what we have nearby. So we've got the First Federation here. Got the Klingons. They already have somewhat of a empire. So debug tooltip. So we should be able to see now what this is. So let's say that we want to play as well, the Borg Collective. We can totally do that, or the Vodbar or whatnot. So let's tag into the Klingons. And the Klingons by themselves, not only do they start off with their initial fleet being a little bit more powerful, because look at all these birds of prey that they have. That is pretty cool, and of course they have got their own models and whatnot. Yes, rubberhead forefaces are really a thing. Let's, for instance, declare war here. We currently cannot do that because we don't have the right CB, but we can make a claim, of course, so let's just do it like that. And just declare war.
We have declared war.
There we go.
Safeguard our interests.
There is no route to get into this system. Give me 1 second here. So let's quickly survey these here systems so we can actually get there a little bit quicker. So let's just get down here, yada yada. But yeah, for instance, the Klingons, they have a couple of very interesting little events because their society is a little bit different from some of the others. And I will explain to you how that actually is. So if I can find it here. They have a special interface involving Klingon civil wars and basically all the... Do we actually have the factions here already? Yeah, basically they have their own factions with houses and stuff like that, and they all try to have... they all go through their own little war scenarios, which is rather cool, and our Klingon fleet is now in transit. Well, that is going on. We will just quickly pop over towards something else that I think is very interesting. Let's quickly pop over towards the Romulan Star Empire. Attack 31, there we go. So the Romulans, even though they currently don't have any survey data, actually have a couple of really cool little details. So let's quickly survey.
Your technical and biological distinctiveness will be added.
Okay, yeah. Oh god, and of course we very instantly get first contact. We'll just ignore everything because we're not really interested in all this stuff. And yes, I am aware that there is quite a lot of different species here. And we should be able to... I think... I'm not entirely sure how it works in the current version. But we can go ahead and say, hey, this species over here, where did it's I think it's a policy, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's a farmer festival. Interesting. Fascinating, because there used to be this system of subterfuge in this part of the game, but that sadly doesn't look like it's no longer there. Basically, you were able to mess with the enemy. Oh wow, they've got quite a lot more firepower than we do. Okay, that's slightly unfortunate. Oh, wow. Okay, did they have like a little fleet of their own or something? What's going on here? Okay, that is pretty extensive. Okay, so we got some combat here already.
Under attack.
That is unfortunate. Who did we declare war on? The Metron Consortium, unaffected race. I don't even know who these guys are. So I think we got a little bit of combat going on in here. And all the ships have their own models in terms of weapons and stuff like that, which is really cool. Big combat is definitely a thing, so that's something you want to keep a look at as well. But yeah, this mod, New Horizons, is probably one of the most exciting mods out there as of right now, and I highly recommend that you go and download it, and or at least subscribe to it, at least try it out, and try out some of the mechanics that are being put forward here, because they are really, really, really interesting. Again, it's a case of things being stacked on top of each other. There it is. There is the where is the interesting? Hold on. Where's the there it is. Unicomplex. So the Borg, for instance, they start with this giant ring world-esque system called the Unicomplex. And the sheer amount of love that went into this is, again, staggering. Just look at that. Isn't that crazy? Like, this is all individually modeled even. It's pretty damn impressive what has been going on around here. And similarly for, let's see if we can find them. The Vividians, the Krenim, the Borg, Corrosion. Where are they? Vodwa Devor. Where are they? Come on. Is that them? Yes, it is. So here, for instance, is the city ship of these guys. That is super advanced. It's basically a giant. It's a model of a planet, but it cannot move. But it's a city ship with its own pops and everything. Conceptually extremely cool. It's got its own modifiers and whatnot. So that's something that you may want to go and check out. Look, it's a Dominion. Is that awesome? I think it's awesome. Here's the Bajorans. They're just hanging out. So there's probably there should be a wormhole around here somewhere, or it will pop up sooner or later. But regardless, yeah, a pretty incredible mod, and I highly recommend you go and check it out. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this particular video, feel free to give it a like and or subscribe. I'm going to wrap it up here. Of course, as always, the link for the mod is down in the description. But until next time, take good care of yourselves and, as always, each other.